Good day and welcome to this episode of Technology Enhanced Learning, the show that features summaries about research and innovation in the area of computer-based education. I am your host, Edith Rodrigo from the Ateneo de Manila University in the Philippines. Today, we welcome Associate Professor Wenli Chen. Dr. Chen is the head of Learning Sciences and Assessment academic group at the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. Her research interests include computer-supported collaborative learning, learning analytics, AI for education, and mobile learning. Dr. Chen's school-based research projects address the challenges of transforming and enhancing teaching and learning and applying her research outcomes to impact school practices. Dr. Chen has published 2 books and more than 80 papers on international peer-reviewed journals. A multi-awarded scholar, Dr. Chen received the Excellence in Teaching Commendation in 2015 and 2017 from NIE and the Nanyang Education Award from NTU in 2016. She has won a dozen Best Paper Awards from international conferences and was presented with the Distinguished Researcher Award by the Asia Pacific Society for Computers in Education in 2020. Dr. Chen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Didis, for the nice introduction. Thank you for the invitation for the interview. It's my honor to be here today.
We're so happy to have you. Dr. Chen, we wanted to focus today's interview on your work on the AppleTree system. And I know this is one of many, many projects that you've had. So unfortunately, we can only choose one project because there are so many things that you have done and all our other distinguished professors have done. So we wanted to focus today on the AppleTree project, which supports computer-supported collaborative argumentation. And so there's a lot to unpack here. And I was wondering if you could start by telling us why collaborative augmentation is beneficial to teaching and learning.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the question. AppleTree, it is an abbreviation of the title of my research project. And this project was funded by National Research Foundation of Singapore and the Ministry of Education Singapore. So the full research title is Assessing Processes and Products for Learning by Tracking and Reporting Efficacy and Effectiveness of Collaborative Idea Improvement. The AppleTree, it is a technology system developed to support students' collaborative argumentation. So argumentation is both an effective learning process and educational outcome, and it has been adopted as a very effective teaching and learning strategy in various subjects, such as scientific argumentation, and inquiry-based learning for social studies and history learning, and the language and the literature learning. So in the process of a collaborative argumentation, the students, they are proposing, critiquing, and coordinating evidences with the claims to construct those arguments together. Okay, so students, they do not only just master the content of knowledge better, but also they are engaged in knowledge creation in this process. And the whole collaborative argumentation process will help them develop 21st century competencies such as communication and collaboration and creative and inventive thinking. So these are the benefits of collaborative argumentation for teaching and learning.
Okay, thank you. And now could you tell us a little about how AppleTree works and how it supports this collaborative argumentation that you described?
Yeah, sure. AppleTree system is constructed with 3 unique features. Firstly, the AppleTree system is designed with a graph-based working space to facilitate explicit externalization of knowledge co-construction and argumentation. So in the graph-based argumentation working space, students, they are using different shapes to represent the argumented elements. For example, in our system, oval shape, it is a claim. Rectangle shape, it is an evidence. And those colors of the arrows between the claim and evidence has its meaning as well. Green arrow indicates that the evidence is to support a specific claim, whereas a red color arrow means this is evidence against this claim. So if the students are not really sure if the idea is a claim or evidence, but they feel this kind of idea could be still relevant to the argumentation, so they can use the cloud shape to pack the ideas in this working space first. And our system will support the transition between different shapes where the ideas can be transformed into the claim or evidence later when students are clear about whether this is a claim or evidence. So the second characteristics of the AppleTree system, it is about the embedded collaboration script in the system. This collaboration script is informed by a pedagogical model. It is called Spiral Model of a Collaborative Knowledge Improvement. This model is also developed by my research team. So it is a 5-phase pedagogical model, which is to structure the classroom collaborative learning activity. So phase 1, it is an individual ideation. So in this phase, each individual student share his thinking or ideas of the topic to be argued. So they contribute as much as they can. Then in the next phase, phase 2, within group synergy. So in this phase, group members, they discuss the ideas generated from phase 1, and they start to discuss and co-construct a group argumentation. So they will improve their ideas by synergizing the individual ideas from all group members. The collective knowledge generated by each group at phase 2, it will be brought to a broader audience and subject to a peer review at phase 3. Right? So in phase 3, the students, they are providing comments on other groups' work and also make suggestions on how to further improve their work. And at the same time, they also learn from other groups. So because our system also allows for peer editing and peer commenting, so this system has this kind of affordances. The next phase is phase 4. Phase 4 is intra-group refinement. So now the students, after learn from other groups, they have to return to their own group to view the comments given by other groups, where they further revise and refine their own group's artifact based on the feedback provided by others. Then in last phase, which is phase 5, individual students, they write a reflection or an argumentative essay to consolidate their learning from the collaborative argumentation. So the 5-phase spiral model of a collaborative knowledge improvement strengthens the connection between the individual and the group collaboration by supporting a smooth transition between work in solitude and the collaborative learning within groups and a class setting. So here comes to the third characteristics of AppleTree system. It is our real-time automated learning analytics and visualization. Right? So AppleTree system will provide automated learning analytics and visualization on the process and outcome of students' collaborative argumentation. So the current analytics and visualization includes students' contribution count, social network analysis, and the learning artifacts argumentation structure. So we also use the Apple metaphor to visualize the quality and the structure completeness of the argumentation. If one group, they only have one claim without any evidence for or against. So our system will show they have a green apple, a bit sour. Once they add in one evidence support this claim, then the green apple will turn into a yellow apple, a bit sweeter, right? When they add one more evidence against, which means that they have a more balanced view now, then the color of the apple will turn into red. So it's even sweeter, right? If they are able to add more evidence for or against of this claim, which indicated they have considered this issue from multiple perspectives, then the color of the apple will turn into golden color. Okay, so we are using this kind of apple metaphor to show the students how complete your argumentation is.
Thank you so much, Rani. That was a very complete description of the system, and it sounds really interesting. I think it's something that even higher education students can benefit from, because I know that even my own students have a hard time constructing those sort of well-balanced arguments. There's a tendency for them to be very selective about the evidence that they show. If there's a claim that they want to make, they only pick up literature that actually supports the claim, rather than actually taking the trouble to show the other side of the argument. Okay, you've already deployed AppleTree in classrooms. How has AppleTree benefited your students?
Okay, so thank you for the question. To date, right, the empirical findings are from various design-based research projects in different subjects. They are very consistent. AppleTree-based collaborative argumentation helps students, develop a deeper understanding of the content knowledge. So this is very important because we don't want our students to just do the rote memorization, right? So with this collaborative argumentation, students were actively engaged in the logical reasoning and the decision-making processes. We also conduct some uptake analysis and epistemic and network analysis. We analyze how students co-generating and constructing the arguments in the group, and the result shows that students' knowledge was improved progressively through the various phases of a spiral model of a collaborative knowledge improvement. And we also find out that the students developed a more comprehensive and coherent arguments at the end of the learning activities. So just to summarize, right, AppleTree really helps students to learn to argue and argue to learn collaboratively. So on top of better content mastery, students improve their logical reasoning and the critical thinking.
Thank you. Okay, our last question is, if a teacher doesn't have access to AppleTree, are there takeaway lessons from your work that can still transfer to that teacher's classroom? So what do we do in under-resourced areas where teachers don't have access to the tools, to the technology-based tools, but nonetheless, argumentation is an important skill to learn. So how can teachers, what takeaway lessons can teachers implement from what you've learned from AppleTree, the AppleTree experience?
Yeah, this is really a good question. First, the takeaway, I think, would be the pedagogical model, spiral model of collaborative knowledge improvement. It was developed in an authentic classroom setting where there are 30 to 40 students in the classroom. Actually, we have tried this model out in other computer-supported collaborative learning environment and also found it worked very well. For example, teachers can use Google Doc, Padlet, LinoIt, or even other technology platform which can support a shared working space. I believe the second takeaway from our project could be our learning analytics framework for collaborative argumentation. So at this moment, we feel our current analytics framework may also can inform the teaching practices even without technology. So even the students are doing collaborative argumentation without technology, but with this kind of learning analytics framework, maybe teachers and students are more aware what is considered as a good collaborative argumentation. So this will help them better understand what is expected for collaborative learning and argumentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Chen. That kind of wraps up our interview, but maybe as a last question or request, do you have any, you are, aside from being a researcher, you're also a teacher and a mentor. And I know that you advise young researchers and you help them develop in their careers. Do you have any advice for them in general, like how they can work on their careers, how they can progress in our field? Maybe just some last thoughts that you'd like to share with them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. So I think I'm still in my mid-career. But if I reflect upon my own journey. So I feel there is one important part I would like to share with early career researchers. We need to identify the research, our own research areas early, stay focused in that area, go deeper rather than like a butterfly, go to many areas. So I think stick to one or maybe at the most two areas, go deeper, then at the end make a contribution to this area, and it will benefit the academic community, and it will impact the teaching and the learning practices. And at the end, we also grow from here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Chen. I think that was a very good interview, and I'm very grateful to you for your time and for being so organized.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.